One of the beautiful quotes that I love when it comes to mind control is, if you don't control your mind will control you. If you don't control your mind will control you. Because some of the things that we see around, the behaviors that we see, the actions that we see, it's not necessarily inspired by the control that we have. It's because the brain is clearly taken over. Because remember something with the brain, we'll get down to it now. Once you prime it up, like we said when we finished up last week, if you wake up in the morning, you prime your brain for success. The likelihood is within those 24 hours you'll see success. But if you wake up priming it for failure, you're also going to gravitate towards the failure. The same is true if you wake up not priming it at all. You're not going to hit nothing at all. You're just going to float around. So now you need to be very careful, because whatever that you feed it tends to express itself in the body, like I said that other time, with the mind-body control, mind-body connection, which we're going to get to now. Now let's start with this thing that you love very much, like the giggle. You know, like we spoke last week. I think that was a catch. I mean, like you know, the giggle, like we normally say, it's garbage in, garbage out. Whatever that you put in your brain, it's going to come out. If you're putting in good stuff in your brain, good stuff is going to come out. It's the same thing. It's a principle. If you're putting effort into something, results are going to come out. If you're putting 1% in it, 1% results are going to come out. But there's this thing that we have now lately, that people somewhat expect things for nothing. Things just don't happen like that. There's something that we need to put in. And I mean, until we understand that whatever that we put in our brains controls every single thing around us, we're always going to be having problems. We're going to be blaming people. We're going to be blaming our partners. We're going to be blaming the government. We're going to be blaming the weather. We're going to be blaming the organizations. We're going to be blaming this and that. Because the whole thing about it is, if you got peace, if you got harmony, if you got happiness in your brain, money will not necessarily be required to make you happy. Relationship will not necessarily be required to make you happy. Because now the whole thing is, if you got peace in here, it does not matter what's happening outside. What matters is what's happening inside. Because now remember, we could be sitting here getting the same news, but our representations be different. The whole thing about it is, it depends what you have in your head. If your head is always stuck up with darkness, hatred, judgment, unforgiveness, envy, whatever, jealousy and everything, it gravitates towards the darkness. Because the whole point about it is, whatever that you put in here, you tend to see. So now if you have the love, the joy, the happiness, it does not matter what happens outside. It does not matter if your partner does this. It does not matter if you're working. It does not matter if you have a car. It will not matter, because if you have it inside, you don't necessarily need somebody to press it on the outside. Because the peace that you have, no one can be able to take it away. And here's the thing that we go around. I just want to actually start with this thing of success. There's this word that it's been thrown around, that to be, if you are successful, you need to be having the money, you need to be having the cars, you need to be having this. You know what? We know people that have money but they're sad. We know people that have cars but they're sad. We know people that have relationships but they're sad. You know why? Because success, it's not necessarily what you have. Success is a state of being. Just like the happiness it is. Because success to me is if you set the goal and you move towards it. The whole thing about it is, we got it mixed up. Having the money, it's not the problem. It's just the byproduct of you being successful. Now the whole thing is, we go around chasing the money, chasing this, chasing that, for us to grab it and not understand that it's not about what you have outside, it's about what you have inside. Because the whole thing about it is a perception. Why am I talking about this? Let me link it up. If you are always filling your brain or your head with dark stuff, unforgiveness stuff, non-growth stuff, things that are not good, your perception as well, because I mean, the way how I define perception is just the glasses that you look through when you look at your life. Exactly. So now if your glasses are blurry, even if you see something good, you will not be able to appreciate it. Even if you have something alluring, you know that somebody doesn't have. Alluring, some people actually envy it. I mean, like we go around now these days, some people complain about the jobs that they have, and there's people outside that actually don't have that. You know what makes these people that have the job complain? Because now their glasses are blurry. They cannot be able to see the blessings even if it's in front of their eyes. But now where does it start? It starts in the head. So now if you're always putting in garbage in here, you're going to tend to see garbage wherever way you go. Have you seen this thing? Like, especially when it comes to relationships. If you want war, or maybe if you want to start a war with your partner, you will always find a reason. For an example, this one of snooping over the phone. You know, you get people that actually go snoop on the phone, find a 1995 SMS, bring an argument. You know what causes that? Whatever that you set your mind to, you will find. Whatever that you whatever, because now we are what we think most of the times. If you're always thinking that you're not successful, guess what? You're not going to be successful. If you're always thinking that you're not going to be happy, guess what? It's a self-prophecy. I mean, like the book of life says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. As simple as that. We are what we constantly think about all day. If I always think about success, guess what's going to happen? I'm going to... Eventually. There's this thing that Will Smith, actually, I love what he says. I'm just going to paraphrase it. He says, if you stay long enough in a barbershop, you're going to end up getting a haircut. You know what it means? If you stay in the midst of success most of the times, you're going to catch a vibe. If you stay amongst the negative people most of the times, you're going to catch a vibe. If you stay around the people that are going nowhere, guess what's going to happen? You're going to pick it up. You know, like they say, birds of the same feather, they tend to flock together. You know, I love it when they say in Africa, they say, it puts a dexel. So now the whole thing is, whatever that we spend most of the time, we tend to become. And remember the whole thing, how it goes. Whatever that you focus on, like I normally say, where attention goes, energy tends to flow. So now if you're always thinking about the negative stuff is going to flow. And here's the thing, what it does, like I was talking about the mind and the body connection. Whatever that we think tends to affect our state of being. Sitting right there, you could be thinking something that you were not, say maybe these are thoughts that are running in your head, and all of a sudden your shoulders drop, you're feeling bad all of a sudden. Trust me, or maybe look at it this way, even if I don't say anything to you, we can actually think ourselves to sickness, we can think ourselves to death, we can think ourselves to success, we can think ourselves to victory, we can think ourselves to whatever that we want. But now we tend not to take charge of this thing. And if we don't take charge of it, everything is going to go helter-skelter. This is what we're seeing lately. I mean, you know, we hear now in the media, in the news, and everything. There's this funny things that are happening that people actually cannot be able to explain. The whole point, or maybe the whole explanation behind it is, we are not taking charge of this. And until we do, we're going to have problems, buddy. Problems, galore.
Yeah. When I'm going to go see a FM, you are still tuning in to the Weekend Breakfast right here on GovC FM on 97.0. It is the motivational corner right here on the Sunday edition. You don't want to miss this out. It's very, very powerful things, very powerful stuff that we are on about it. When I'm going to GovC FM, while we to go to the headlines, when I'm to take in, to absorb, you know, to. The power of the mind, man. Girl, man. You know what? Let's just take this moment and prepare to us to go for the headlines, news headlines, right here on GovC FM on 97.0.